how did you actually get into music?
Ooh, yeah, that goes back, man. Coming up from where I come up, you know what I mean. From we grew up in the projects. It's called the Washington Gardens now, but back
Mm,
then we called the projects. You know what I mean. So the uh, it was just me and my mother. I got a sister, you know what I mean. But me
mm,
and my mother, you know what I mean, was mostly there. My sister would come on the weekends or whatever, and we just grew up there, and then we had like that was like our village. You know what I mean? The projects back then was like
right,
everybody in the projects knew each other. It was different families, but we was all really close knit. So you
right, right.
know, everything that we started doing, you know what I mean, we would get out there playing, you know what I mean, or whatever, you know what I mean, running, racing each other in the
Right.
streets, and
How old was you at this moment in
just
time?
get man, well, growing up, man, I grew up in there from like a baby on up to I say about you see when I left the projects at 11.
Right.
So it was before that, you know what I mean? I mean, I look the little, childhood years, 8, 9, you know what I mean, running around there, snotting up, you know what I mean, fighting, picking fights, running, and but you know, we had a guy named Sean Pratchett, right? We called him
Right,
DJ AK-47. And may he rest in peace. He's gone now. You know what I mean?
right, right, right.
Passed away a few years ago, and so he but they lived over in the other bay. Like our bay was off Delaware and Chapman, but to go up the street and go around the corner, you know what I mean, off Wagner. You know what I mean?
Right.
They stayed off Wagner, right? So, while just going over there, AK and them back then, he always get the neighborhood kids, man, and gather them, man, and get them
Right.
into doing things like you know, competition, you know what I mean, competing, whether it's backflips, you know what I mean, or uh dancing, break dancing against each
Right.
other or whatever, beatboxing, you know what I mean, and all that, right? So I said about because at first I was drawing, you know what I mean.
Mhm.
I love to draw. I said that was my thing. I used to draw, and so
Right.
we got to about 11. Let me see, about 12. You know what I mean? Because incident happened. You know what I mean? In the projects where something happened. With my mother. That's her story. You know what I mean? Where I had to move with my aunt, and so when I did, though, I still was back in the heart of the projects, though, because that's where I grew up. You know what I mean? That was my friend. So um, I would come back and forth, you know what I mean, in the
Right.
projects and over Shining House. And so we used to freestyle it, against each other. Back then we had
Is
chains.
this
It was
is
like
that
a
is
little
that why you were growing up?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I
Part of
for
why,
those for those who don't know, where is that apartment, the Washington the Gardens?
uh, uh, for Washington, the Washington Gardens, they are in Elkhart, Indiana, um,
Hmm.
and it's on the south side. You know, south side, the heart of the south side of the city,
Right.
and they would literally is right there. You know what I mean? When you come off of Benham, like Benham in Indiana, you know what I
Right.
mean? They go from Indiana on down, a few blocks, right? So
Mhm.
uh
Was it rough? Was it
Indiana's
rough
small.
growing
I
up?
mean, well, I mean, you had the norm, the normal, where you definitely had to know how to fight. You know what I mean? So, you had to fight, had the neighborhood drug dealers everywhere running around,
Right.
different, doing their thing and shooting dice, what I mean,
Right.
on the concrete outside, and things like that. So, it was that lifestyle. It was rough, what I mean. Now, yeah, I grew up. It was my mother was a single parent, you know what I mean. So, we grew up poor. You feel me?
Right.
And so it was everything from the mice, roaches, things like that. So that's not something that I'm unfamiliar with. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
what I grew up. You know what I mean? That part, and then uh, coming up around the project. If you stayed in the projects, majority of the individuals around there did. They know that lifestyle. So it wasn't no nice kicks. Uh, Chains. As a matter of fact, back at that time, you could count on your hand as the cars, the people that own cars
Mm.
throughout the whole process.
What
You
what
count,
what year? What year
because
was this? What years was this?
this was back in, let me see, coming up was like back in the late '80s. You know what I
Dang.
mean? Uh,
It was rough back then.
'80s, early
Dang.
'90s. So, man, listen. I remember, man, seeing, dudes, the gangs, gangsters running around,
Right.
this dude, right, at the dumpster, they go out there, they whooping dude, they take dude, throw him in the dumpster. Man, I'm like, what? Whoa, what are we gonna do? Don't go out there. I'm like, what, get on back, man. Go out there before you see something, you know what I mean? You ain't supposed to, right? So, but yeah, back in the late '80s, you know what I mean, because it was 90, 89,
Mhm.
89 when I was separated from my mama. So in 90, and so in 92, 93 was when I started. Like when I was 13 is when I started getting into music. I started freestyling, and then Sean Pratchett, he used to have little studio upstairs in his room, right, in the
Right.
projects. And so he told him, he was like, man, listen, he was like, man, I know y'all can do this rap stuff, man. Go ahead and I challenge y'all. Go on and write something. Write it down. I'm like, what? Write. He was like, yeah, write a verse. Okay, what is this? This dude talking about, So at school, right, we going to school, and I ended up writing a verse to a song, and I actually wrote like two verses, and so dude was like, man, I went and spit it to him. It's like, yeah, man, I wrote down something. He was like, man, he was like, dang, okay. It was like, now what you got to do is you work on your delivery. You know what I mean? He was like, you got it. You know what I mean? You got it on paper. He was like, now you gotta memorize and got to start working on your delivery. He's like, man, you got a voice. You got the voice for it. He was like, that's something you got unique, man. He was like, boy, you got something, man. Woo, woo, right? And
Right.
so he used to always tell me, so growing up, I went up in there, about 14, 15, you know what I mean? Before I actually started getting into the street life, you know what I mean, at that age. And so um, never took it serious though. I just was writing, carrying my pad. You know what I mean? I would carry it everywhere I go. Everywhere, they see me, they like, bro, man, what's going on? Whoa, man, what you got in that bag, man? I got it with me, So um, I got into the hustling scene early, and so um, while I'm there, Sean, like a mentor type, big brother, he would sit us down and be like, hey y'all, he's like, man, I know y'all tired, man, of this lifestyle, man. He was like, man, I know y'all want to see something else. He was like, man, listen, y'all, you got a gift, man. He was like, uh, don't let the streets catch you up, man. He was like, man, go ahead and stop that. And so at this time, like, uh, me and him had like a little, you know what I mean, little conflict because,
Right.
At the time I was, providing for my younger little cousins, right?
Right.
And uh, for him to be like, man, you need to stop what you're doing, that meant that they wouldn't have nothing to eat. They wouldn't have no clothes on their back. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have no place to stay. So therefore, you know what I mean? Um, if you giving me that, you got to give me an ultimatum. You know what I mean? You
Right.
got to give me something to replace it. And
Right.
at the time, you know what I mean, there's nothing that he could offer,
Right.
but just to push, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Okay, I know you guys are enjoying the episode, but I gotta let you know that this part of the video is sponsored by Who Knew. Who Knew is a brand building ecosystem that's literally strategically built for you to be able to create the brand that you can only imagine. You can build your dream website. You can get business credit and unsecured business funding. You can be able to get managed by us. And not only that, we actually have a tool called Mercabus that we created to be able to give you the power to rank on Google, YouTube, or any other platform almost instantly. You can be able to keep up with the episodes. You can be able to get hosting. You can be able to get any plugin and thing that you need to be able to build the type of brand that you can envision. Trust me when I tell you, Who Knew changed my life, and then Who Knew have changed so many different people. That's why we have a plethora of entrepreneurs that have already taken their business from $0 to 6 and 7 figures. Literally, it's pointless for me to have this conversation with you to try to convince you of something that you already need. It doesn't matter what part of the journey that you're on, from the beginning to the point of your building and wanting to go farther to take your brand to the next level, or if you just trying to scale and you already at the top and you already reached that plethora. Who Knew have every single thing for you. Now, you're going to get back into the episode.